Some mornings hit heavier than others. You wake up and the noise in your head feels louder than the world outside. For me, it's been that way lately. Between relationships, where I live, and the pace of life, it's easy to get overwhelmed. So this morning, I just want to take a little space to breathe. Recently, I've been sitting here thinking, is Phoenix really the place for me anymore? I'm not really sure that I like big cities anymore that much. I used to live in San Diego, and then I moved to Phoenix. And I've been here for about 5 years or so. So for a large chunk of my life, I've been living in city life. Now, compared to San Diego, Phoenix is a lot more cheap. That's what everybody else says, right? It's pretty cheap for a big city, but it's not even just about the affordability after a while. It's about just the space and the peace to be happy and enjoy life the way you see fit. For me, like I always grew up in a lot of solitude. I'm a very introverted person. I like my space. I like to be alone. I like to be around people too, but in short spurts. And I think that's what tends to get to me. As an introvert, it makes it really tough sometimes to be in a place like this. It's not because I'm not social, I don't have that ability. It's that I need to recharge my battery in some peace and solitude, which it's really hard to find in a place like this. So I've been thinking recently about a lot of things that have happened to me this year and why it's been so difficult. But I think ultimately what's really hard is it's hard to find places to recharge. It's hard to find a way to just get away from some of the noise. It really, unless you're driving on the weekend or doing something like that here, there's traffic at all times. It's just every event you go to, there's a lot of people. Going to a park like this, you can't really see it because I'm not framing it in the camera, but there's already a lot of people here. I got here before 6 a.m. and there was probably already 100 people in this park. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you really look at it, it's hard to just kind of find a moment to just be alone. And that's something that I value a lot. So I've been really reflecting and thinking about, as much as this city has to offer food, farmers markets, events, every store, restaurant, things you can think of, does that really outweigh the things that have been weighing on me? I'm not so sure anymore. I'm not going to pick up and leave Phoenix tomorrow, but it's definitely been something that's on my mind. One of the things that's been on my mind more than anything else recently has been the relationship that I was in before. Now, just for context, this relationship was 7, almost 8 years, and it ended about 2 years ago. I was the one that actually ended the relationship. A lot more details for that, but the whole point is it's overwhelming in some ways because, prior to that relationship, I was in another relationship for 2 years. I tend to get into relationships. That's how I work. And it's so tough when you spend so much of your life with another person, whether it's good, bad, or somewhere in between. When you're back out on your own, it's so difficult to kind of readjust to life, and I think nowadays the cost, the stress, and all the things that are happening around us at all times, it makes it so difficult to kind of find who you are and get back out on your own and start taking the next step after another. I've definitely struggled with this a lot, and even though it was 2 years ago when we actually ended our relationship, we were in contact up until earlier this year, and we're not anymore. And so the adjustment that comes with that has been extremely difficult. A lot of times I kind of fall in between this kind of line of wanting companionship, wanting someone there to be able to talk, share wins and losses and all kinds of things with. But at the same time, I know I'm not ready for it. So it's this hard place of wanting that, but knowing that if I got into something like that right now, or especially previously, it just wouldn't have been best. And I think I'm not the only one that struggles with things like this. I only briefly dated one person in between that 2 year period up until now. And other than that, I've just been completely by myself, and I'm a person that, like I mentioned earlier, I'm an introvert. I like my alone time. I like being able to have that space. But I think there's a difference between having space and completely almost shutting yourself out from the world or not really having people too. Now, I always encourage people to hang out with friends and do things. I only have one friend that lives here in the area. One of my really good friends lives up in Portland, but he's not here, and it's not like I can just readily go hang out with him and such too. So when you think about things, it's hard because when you're someone that is in a relationship for so long and you have to adjust to being completely alone again, it's like you don't even know how to do it, especially when you've been in something for as long as I was, or even longer. I hear stories from people that go through divorce, that have engagements ended. I was engaged as well. And it's difficult, right? Like every time you think you've hit the peak of how difficult something can get, you meet someone else that has went through something even worse. And not that it's a game of comparison to say who has it worse. I'm just saying that I don't think it matters whether it's, a year, 10 years or more. It's difficult for anybody to really adjust and get back out there. And I think so many times when people don't really vocalize these things, not in big ways, because a lot of society kind of shuns you, or they look down on you, or they have bad things to say about you. They say you're complaining, or it'll be okay, you'll get someone else. And that's probably true. You will find someone else, but it doesn't mean that the in-between time is not difficult. It's certainly been difficult for me, and in that relationship was probably it was the best relationship I ever had in my life. Having the support and love and care of someone else, it's really hard to forego those things and then take a step back to kind of learn who you are and be able to give those things back to yourself. It takes time. When I briefly dated that person in the last few years, sweet person, absolutely great person, I don't really have a complaint about them. It wasn't them, it was me. You think that just because a certain amount of time passes that you're fully ready to jump back into something, but it's not always until you take that first step and you jump into something that you realize, wow, I'm not ready. I was not ready. And I think a lot of times people jump into a relationship like this, they feel deep down they're not ready, like they haven't done the work on themselves, or they haven't had the space to heal. But then we stick with it because we'd rather have the companionship than take the time to be by ourselves. I think that's the really hard thing to do. I see a lot of people always talk about, how they're alone, how it's hard, how they want someone, they miss someone, and I get that. I do too. But at the same time, it's better to take time to be by yourself and just enjoy life, learn how to love yourself and heal. And when the time is right, the right person will come along and you'll be in a much better position to get to that point. The reason I'm including this in this video is because it's been part of the reason that I've felt overwhelmed. It's because not directly it's making me overwhelmed, but it's making me overwhelmed because life is overwhelming for me, you, a lot of us out there in many different ways. A lot of us go through struggles we don't even see the other person going through. But what's overwhelming about not having someone there to be able to talk to in that type of capacity is that all of that pressure falls on you instead of having some voice of reason or someone else that can kind of just tell you it's going to be okay sometimes. So even if we're not in a relationship, I want to tell you that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay for me. It's going to be okay for you. It's going to be okay for your loved ones or anybody else that's going through something right now. The hardest part is really just giving it the time it needs. This channel and everything I try to do here is centered around encouragement, because this is things that I think are important in life. There's so much discouragement, there's so much negativity and things online that I figured I would do something that's the opposite. So right now, if you're feeling overwhelmed in your life, whether that's down to family, relationships, money, health, anything else that fits within there, while I don't always have the answers for you, I hope that after watching videos like this, you can at least take away one positive thing that can change some part of your day. If this video helped you at all, please go ahead and subscribe. I can't say that word, subscribe. Drop me a like on the video and I'll see you on the next one. Take care for now. Peace.